and I'll blame him. So. Come close, brothers, inshallah, fill the gaps.
In front.
Brother, over here, brother. If I'm in 40 days, or in 4 months, or 10 days even, or 3 days even, if I am not praying my namaz in the first half, if I am not the first to collect for talim, if I am not pouncing with a skip in my step, with an eagerness towards amal, then my treatment isn't working. Yes? It's common sense, isn't it? Because I've been dragging my feet all my life. In my masjid, I'm a backrower. In my masjid, I'm last one in, first one out. In my masjid, if accidentally I sit in a bayan, I'm inattentive, I've got my phone out, I'm yawning, I'm falling asleep. So now when I'm in the hospital, Tabligh is our spiritual hospital. If I'm not seeing a change in my namaz, in my zikr, then I have to ask myself. And for many people, the problem is simple, very, very, very easy to pinpoint the problem, but very hard to remedy it. A person goes into hospital and the doctor says, right, you've got the skin condition. So 2 weeks we can get you cured, we can send you home. But you've got to go with what we say. So, okay, got to take the pills, got to eat what we give you, got to apply the lotion and everything. So he says, okay. But then when the nurse brings the pills, then he pretends to take them, but then he spits them out. When the nurse brings the food, then it's not chicken tikka masala, as he was expecting. It's celery and lettuce, because that's what the doctors ordered. So this guy, he said, I'm not a goat, I'm not going to eat this, I'm going to. So what does he do? He phones his wife on the sly. Jubli, Ajahunandu. So she goes, or smuggle it in. Then he puts her phone down, then he remembers, then he, Ali, hunting Rauje, Geti Garam Karin Rauje. Then he puts her phone down, then he is smacking his lips. Then he goes, then he remembers afterthought. And afterwards, then, Ali, have you set off yet? No. So now she smuggles all that in, and on the sly, when she comes, when the wife comes, he goes, curtain khaji lo, and then he rolls his sleeves up and barber toke. So what's going to happen? He's going to have a fantastic time. 2 weeks, no work, no tension or anything, but he's not going to get cured. In the same way, our elders, they say, a person goes out in 40 days. Hazrat Molana Ilyas Sahib, who restarted this effort. Effort is the effort of the Anbiya Kiram. But Allah Ta'ala made him the means because of the plight of the Ummah and how far the Ummah had gone and how it was on the brink of extinction, the Ummah. Because what happens is, when a people, somebody, there was a documentary. Now, Sharif people, they don't watch films and stuff, but they might watch a documentary or a news thingy. So this was like a chat show or something. But nowadays, even in that, there's filth thrown in. So I was watching this little clip. It was a political discussion or something. So a person made a faux pas. One of the news anchors made a mistake. And she did it with a straight face. And everyone's like cracking up. She goes like, wow, wow, wow. So it was a, what you call a double entendre, something with a double meaning. Huh? You know what I mean? You've seen it, it's everywhere now. Huh? So people in the comments, oh, she's so innocent, and you know, and they're so dirty-minded, blah, blah, blah. So I wrote in the comments, I said, listen, these kind of incidents, occurrences, have become more and more prolific in even serious programs. And I said, it's not by chance. They know exactly what they're doing. Yeah? Because they want to over-sexualize everything. Yeah? And then they're like, oh, sorry, we did. Ooh. Yeah? And then I said, this is how all the empires went. If you look at the history of any great empire, when did the downfall came? When they became depraved. أُولَٰئِكَ كَالْأَنْعَامِ. When they became like animals. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا يَتَمَتَّعُونَ وَيَأْكُلُونَ كَمَا تَأْكُلُ الْأَنْعَامُ وَالنَّارُ مَثْوًى لَهُمْ. Allah Ta'ala says that the disbelievers, they are eating, they are benefiting from the ni'mats and having fun, but their eternal abode is a hellfire. They're just enjoying life like the animals enjoy life. So when a people became depraved, when they started fornication, pornography, adultery, pedophilia, all this sort of stuff, then the azab of Allah came on them. So I said, this is it. This is a decline. This is what's happening now. Yeah? But they make out like, oh, we didn't know, and all this, yeah? So now, Molana Osman Kazee, the Ummah, as the Muslims, had also fallen into that. Like now it's happening, people say, oh, this is the end of the Western world and everything, yeah? But okay, but if the Muslims living in the Western world are also following in their footsteps, so where do you think you're going to end up? In fact, the azab will come on you first. Yeah? They haven't got a deen and they're doing it. You've got a deen, you should know better and you're doing it. So Molana Osman Kazee saw that, the state of the Ummah, the political structures were collapsing. Yeah? And the Muslims are so far gone that it was like Islam is now going to go and Qiyamah is going to come. So Molana Osman Kazee, he had this internal fikr. And so he used to go into the jungles around the masjid, and because he couldn't cry in the masjid, because his crying was such, he was like a tortured soul. People couldn't, like these blood-curdling screams of his. So he used to go in the middle of the night, he used to go into the thing. There was one very old worker, Purana Sathi, who used to say, how did I come into Tabligh? He said, I was a station master. I used to work for the rail. And he said, I had my signal box, in the jungles. So I had to change the signal. But he said, I started noticing that in the middle of the night, this sound used to come. It was like an animal, yeah? Like a cow when it's about to deliver in labor, when it's in pain. It's like this sound's coming and it's echoing all around. He said, I just can't understand that. And if it was just a cow, then it would be just go on like 1 or 2 nights or something, and then it'd die. But this is just relentless every single day. He goes, then one night, I went out in search. Where's this sound coming? And he goes, then in this clearing, I found this old man and this thin, emaciated person, and he was crying his eyes out. Dr. Zakir Hussain Rahmatullah used to say that one day I was coming for Fajr namaz, and as I was close to the masjid, from the overgrowth, from the bushes, I heard sound of like a woman's being attacked. And he goes, I stopped. So what's going on? And he goes, then eventually, Hazrat Molana Ilyas emerged from there and went towards the masjid. So such was his pain, he couldn't sleep, he couldn't eat, he was just crying all the time. And because of that pain that he had, and his du'as and his tears, Allah Ta'ala rescued the ummah, gave the ummah this effort again. So he used to say that this effort is such a high effort because it's an effort of the Anbiya Kiram. So he says, whoever spends time in this effort, 3 days he used to say, not even 4 months, say whoever spends 3 days according to how I have outlined, according to the usul, spends their time to the T. He said, then his inner world will change. He didn't say his face will change, he'll grow a beard, or his libas will change. He said, iski dil ki dunya badal jayegi. Meaning everything will just change. His inner world will change, so his outer world will also change. That's just 3 days. But now, we find I spend 4 months, spend 40 days. People can't even, forget people, I can't even see a difference in myself. Allah maaf kare. Why? Because I'm like that guy, jubli, dar chawal lao je. Yeah? Because I'm going against the treatment, I'm doing exactly what I was not supposed to do. For example, like I said, the pinpointing the problem is easy, but getting rid of it is a difficult one. Now people are going to start frowning now because when I tell you what the problem is. Right? One of the problems, for example, major problem, that we go against what the elders say, and then we make excuses. No, the elders say go easy on the youngsters, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? The biggest problem for us is our mobile phones. Huh? The person goes out for 40 days, all day he's in amal, and he's filling up his nur, and he's excelling, and mashallah. And then at the end of the day, if he's lucky, most people is many times a day, after every namaz, after every amal, phone comes out. And what happens? As soon as you look, that one glance, even if it's immediately you swipe or whatever, immediately that nur is gone. So it's like you're trying to paint a painting on water. Yeah? The paint is never gonna stick. It's just gonna get washed off. So this is why our elders, they say, well, like I say, it's a bitter pill to swallow. Well, alhamdulillah. So in our masjid, alhamdulillah, most of the jamaats have a no phone policy. We used to have a no phone policy in the whole masjid, alhamdulillah, for all jamaats. But then some people find some loopholes and this and that. But we say, we can't. Tabligh is targheeb. There's no enforcement. We can just encourage you. And those who do will benefit. So our jamaat from our masjid went last Christmas holidays for 10 days and they didn't take their phones. So when they came back, Molana Yusuf Daran Sahib, he came and he heard all the karguzaris and he was like amazed. This jamaat, in this day and age, youngsters, they didn't take their phones. And he mentioned it so many times in the bayan, if you remember, and all the other jamaats were there. So I had to say to him, Molana, calm down, it's no big deal. They always do that. I said for 40 days they don't take their phones. Molana was like, wow, amazing. Yeah? Well, I said, well, sir, it's no big deal really. He goes, no, it is. In this day and age, these youngsters. I said, yeah, it's a massive sacrifice for them, and more so for the older people, but they do it. Then last year, our Christmas Jamaat went for 10 days to Leicester, and one of our brothers was saying, mashallah, alhamdulillah, our Jamaat hasn't got phones. So afterwards, one of the locals came up to me, and he goes, Asab, Jazakallah for saying that. I said, I say this, and like I'm the black sheep, everyone's like looking at me weird. He goes, I don't have a phone at all, and I encourage youngsters not to take phone. So he said, Jazakallah for saying that. And then it transpired that he had just gone with a Jamaat of youngsters for 10 days to Belgium, and they'd brought back a full 10 days, full Jamaat back with them in the bayan, the Jamaat stood up, naqad. Huh? So I said, bhai, the proof's in the pudding. It's clear as daylight. But it's our shaitan inside us that doesn't let us accept. So this is why it's very, very important that we assess ourselves. That I'm in a spiritual hospital now. How much am I progressing? If I'm 10 days into my shillah or 20 days, whatever, into my shillah, how much progression have I made? How many du'as have I learned? Our Iqbal Bhai Tiladia, rahmatullah, Allah Ta'ala grant him Jannat, passed away in Ramzan on the day of Badr, just gone. So he was once, we were in an ijtima together, so he delivered a bayan. So in that bayan he said that we went in Mastura Jamaat for 10 days, and he said there was a girl with us who was 18 years old or something. First time ever in the path of Allah. She got married to a tablighi, and tablighi for the honeymoon took her to Jamaat. Never spent 2 days, 3 days or anything. First time, 10 days, young girl. And in those 10 days, this young girl learnt 43 Masnoon du'as. So afterwards, I went to Iqbal Bhai. I goes, Iqbal Bhai, is she? He goes, yeah. He goes, in fact, it wasn't even 10 days. It was actually 8 days. Because coming from Birmingham to Marcus and then staying in Marcus, so coming and going, it was 8 days on the road. It was in 8 days, or you could say 10 days. This young girl, first time learned, a girl. So I say to our Satis, Bhai, we're supposed to be men. Huh? This young girl puts us to shame. How did she manage to do that? Because she spent her time well. And then what happened is she'll go back and then she'll be able to stick to the effort. Otherwise, many people, you hear them say the most absurd things, because sometimes I go to Zakaria Masjid, which is a bigger masjid here, for Jummah. So if you want to meet people who you've not met for a long time, the trick is pray Jummah and come out straight after Jummah. Don't even wait for the dua, just jump over with them, walk out, yeah? And then you'll get to meet the whole world and the auntie. Not the auntie, that will go. Yeah? So I'm coming out, sometimes I do that. So as I'm coming out, this guy's there. Assalamu alaikum, what's up? Assalamu alaikum, what's up? Yeah, so now these are 20, 30 something year olds, yeah? So he goes, what's up? Remember, we used to go Jamaat together. What's up? Good times. Yeah? So at that time we didn't have Darul Quran. So in those days we used to go from Zakaria. So now, and they were youngsters in those days. Now they're married and quite older. So they said, Masal, we used to go Jamaat, good times, our best days, Masal. I said, yeah. I said, Jamaats do still go, you know. So they go, hey. I said, Jamaats do still go, you know, from Zakaria, from Darul Quran. Where are you living? So he tells me. So I said, yeah, Masjid Ali, Masjid Rahman, Jamaat. He goes, yeah, I'm working now, innit? I said, so? Huh? I'm married now, innit? I've got kids now, innit? I said, bhai, in those days, the elders who used to take us, they were married, they had kids, they had more kids than us, yes, and they had jobs, and they had 2 families to support. One here, one back home. Yeah? And they still took us in Jamaat. So then they just scratched their head, oh, so nice seeing you. Yeah? So what happened is, because they spent their time well, they came to Tabligh, and they're still now full of praise of Tabligh, but they didn't stick. Why? Because they didn't spend their time well. Sometimes people, they're still on the deen, but not in Tabligh anymore. So you ask them, and they say, what's up? Yeah, Tabligh is good. Bro, you spent 4 months. You've done like 6 chillas. What's up with you now? I found it lacking. I didn't find the effort wholesome enough. I say, La ilaha illallah. The effort of the Anbiya Kiram. And you found it lacking. You have to go here, there, and everywhere. You have to go elsewhere. I said, but it's not the effort that was lacking. It was your effort. Not the effort, your effort. Molana Osman Kazee used to say, Jitna gur daloge, itna meetha hoga. The more sugar you put in, the sweeter it will be. For us, the more sacrifice you'll put in, the more we will get out of it. So this is why it's important we assess ourselves. whether we're in the path of Allah or whether we're at home. It's not just that we're here to get the medal. Alhamdulillah, I spent 40 days. I spent 4 months. I'm a tablighi. The whole point of it is that we change for the better. Change for the better. Not change. We are changing. All of us are changing. But unfortunately, we're supposed to be going, changing towards Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. More and more sunnahs of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam should be coming in my life. Instead, more and more ways of non-Muslims are coming in my life. So one Molana gave a very good example. He said, you know, non-Muslims, they have so many good traits in them. But when you look deeper, you know, people say, oh, yeah, Goriyauna akhlaq jo. People say to me that, you know what, it's never happened. I think that was an exaggeration, but anyway, because it never happens that an Aprawala gives me way. It's always a non-Muslim. They'll let me go. And he goes, you know what, sir, the other thing is that really winds me up, pet hate. You know, sometimes you let somebody pass. If it's a non-Muslim, he'll wave at you, he'll smile at you, he'll flash you with the lights. Yeah? That's my day, right, isn't it? Yeah? But he goes, you know, an Aprawala, he give him way. He just boom, like in a banner say. No acknowledgement, no thank you, no, you know what I mean? Yeah? So then when you look into it, you see that, you know, all these akhlaq were the akhlaq of a Muslim. But unfortunately, non-Muslims have adopted them, and all the bad from them we've adopted. So Molana gave a very good story. He said once there were these two guys, they were traveling together. One of them had loads of like bling, chains and bracelets and all that, gold. And the other guy didn't have anything, so they're traveling together. So at night, when the bling guy went to sleep, that guy slowly took everything off him, took all the chains and everything off him, yeah, and he put it on himself and he fell asleep. Yeah. So when he woke up, when they both woke up in the morning, the guy's rubbing his eyes and looking and he goes, where's all my stuff gone? He looked up and the other guy, he was just sitting there with all his gear on, yeah. So he goes, what happened? So he goes, I have become you and you have become me. Yeah. He goes, Man tu shudam tu mi shudi, man tan shudam tu jha shudi, takas nagoyat badazi, tu digar med man digari. In Farsi. He goes, meaning the love between us is so strong that I became you and you became me. I became the body and you became the soul. Yak ja do qalib, as they say in Urdu. Two lives pumping with one heart. Yeah? So because I become you and you become me. So that guy goes, oh, subhanallah, okay. So he robbed him, but he didn't realize that he'd been robbed. Yeah? So the elder, he said, he gave the same example. He goes, this is what's happened with the Muslims, that we've lost all our potential and our qualities, and the non-Muslims have adopted all that, and all the bad has come into us, which is why we have the effort of tabligh, that we go out in the path of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we assess ourselves, slowly we start making an effort on ourselves. Now in these days, in the summer days, what happens? You go in Jamaat, youngsters Jamaat. One time we were up in Scotland, and in those days, I had a habit of sleeping 20 minutes in the afternoon. Even if I didn't set my alarm clock, 20 minutes would usually be enough. Qailullah. Now my Qailullah has turned into Lailullah. Then it gets longer and longer, innit, as you get older. So, 40 is when your mind starts coming together and your body starts falling apart, as they say. So as you get older, it's a different thing. But I used to notice, so 20 minutes after Zohar, I used to go to sleep, and then I'd wake up, and then masjid's nice and quiet. Then I can read, I can write, I can do whatever. Yeah? No disturbance. And it's a summer day, so you got loads of time. But what I noticed, and it was Ramzan, so we used to wake up for Talim about 10:30, 10:45, then from 11 o'clock we'll do things. So we'd have a nice long sleep after Fajr anyway. Yeah? And then after Zohar, I'd sleep 20 minutes or so. It was enough. You'd get your 7, 8 hours in. But what I noticed was these guys, all the youngsters in my Jamaat, they were doing these marathon Belullas. Yeah? They were going to sleep like from 2 o'clock till 6 o'clock. 4 hours. When they were waking up, they pick their head up, the pillow would be stuck to the face because of the drool. The eyes totally, and they'd be proper zonked. So I'm now sitting there writing and stuff. I'm looking at these guys. It's like sitting in a qabristan. These guys, yeah. So I started giving targheeb in the muzakara, because like I said, in tabligh, there's targheeb, there's encouragement. If somebody's got goodness in him, he'll take it. And if he wants to lose himself, then. So I started mentioning, we should count how many hours we're sleeping. 7 hours for a youngster is enough. Chalo, let's call it 8 hours, because it's Ramadan. But it shouldn't be more than that. Sleeping too much then dulls the brain. It's not good for your brain and all that sort of stuff. So I gave that targheeb, but it all fell on deaf ears. So then I thought, for 3 days I gave targheeb, but it didn't make a difference. Then I started calling them, each one individually. I said to one guy, I called him, I said, how you doing? Alhamdulillah. I said, do you miss your mom? He said, just a little bit. How's your still loving? He said, amazing, I'm loving it. I said, do you sleep, this afternoon sleep? Because Masa is good in it. I goes, do you sleep in the afternoon at home? He goes, Masa, I've never done it. He goes, Masa, you know what? When I get back, I'm going to sleep in the afternoon now. After college, every day it's fantastic. I've discovered new discovery. I said, okay. He goes, the best thing is, Masa, is sunnat as well. You get sawab. I said, okay. So I said, yeah, it is good, but I said, but it doesn't have to be a marathon sleep. So I gave him targheeb. I said, you come out with so much sacrifice, you've got so much to learn, so many du'as, this and everything. So I said, why don't you sleep for 1 hour? I'm not going to say 20 minutes. Why don't you sleep for 1 hour and then wake up? You've got 3 hours to do your work. Everything. So he goes, yeah, Masa, you're right. I said, I'm not learned any du'as. It's been 20 days and all this. I said, Masa, yeah, I'm going to do that. I said, shall I wake you up? He said, no, Masa, I've set my alarm clock. So the next afternoon, I'd be sitting there, and this alarm clock would go off, and then this arm would come out of the sleeping bag, and then go back in, and then I had to wake him up at 6 o'clock. Next day, another guy. Well, like that, I went through all of them. I didn't make a difference. I said, let me wake you up. No, Masa, it's okay. I said, bhai, that's not what free time is. If you look in the kitabs, there's a very good kitab that everyone used to read back in the days. Every tabligh used to take with them. The life and mission of Molana Osman Kazee. That's like our manual, along with Fazail Amal, Fazail Sirqat. So we need to read the origins of this effort, the fundamentals of this effort. Yeah. So in those kitabs, and in the 6 points of tabligh and all these kitabs, the wording is worth looking at. So for free time, the wording in Urdu is infiradi waqt. Yeah. Now I remember when I first started going Jamaat, it used to be called infiradi time. Then our youngsters started calling it infirari time. Yeah. So that's where the decline started. Ferrari meaning fun, this, yeah, infirari time. Then people in Urdu started calling it farig waqt. In English, they started calling it free time. So now, I mean, sir, it's starting over. Is it free time now? So I said, but no, it's not free time. It's infiradi time. What does infiradi time mean? Infiradi time means personal time. Meaning up to now, we were making ijtimai effort, collective, talim, bayan, mashwara, all that was collectively. Now, it's an opportunity for me to make my individual effort. But if I say it's free time, I'm free to do anything. I'm free to watch a movie in the masjid. People do. People have been known to do. I'm free to go out on the town. I'm free to go to sleep. I'm free to do whatever. I'm free. So no, we will be free when we die. A Muslim is never free. So it's infiradi time. So if a person understands that, then he will use his time correctly. So what? So for the benefit for the brothers who are out in the path of Allah, and I wish I was out in the path of Allah at this time, because it's the best time. You don't get this in winter. Our elders, they say, in the summer months especially, our elders, they say you should make effort on your namaz. How are you going to make effort on your namaz? It's never going to happen at home. I know, because I'm at home at the moment, and namaz, how difficult it is, we know. Yeah? Farz and sunnahs is difficult enough. Nafil, long nafils, inshallah. Yeah? So how do you make effort on your namaz? Our elders, they say that you make intention to pray 2 rakats namaz in which from beginning to end you will think of no one but Allah. And if we are honest with ourselves, honest, not like us blaggers, yeah, mashallah, yeah. But if we're honest with ourselves, when I do that, that will be the first ever 2 rakats that I've prayed in which I haven't thought of anyone but Allah. That will be the first time in my life, in all my life, all these years past. You know what I mean? So what happens is, our elders, they say, how are you going to do that? How are you going to make effort in your namaz? So on a summer day like this, after Zohar, we've had Gush, we've had Talim, been for Gush, whatever, yeah? Amir Sahib says now it's infiradi time. So now maybe I take some rest. After that, it's all quiet. Locals have gone. Jamaat brothers, some are sleeping, some have gone walkabout, some are in the shower, some maybe on their phone. The ideal opportunity for me. No one's going to disturb me. If I don't have my phone, that is. If I have my phone, that is very difficult. Then I have to turn it off and give it to Amir Sahib. So now, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, on a Sunday afternoon, come down inside the masjid. The whole house of Allah is mine. First of all, I go into the wuzu khana and I perform wuzu. The word in Fadail Amal is, whoever performs wuzu, it's a hard word, scrupulously. Some of our dumb satis are scrupulously. What does scrupulously mean? Properly. We're not water going. Properly performs wuzu. Praise and du'as and everything. That wuzu will have an impact on namaz. Now I come into the masjid. No affiliation to the dunya, no distractions. For all the time in the world, got 3 full hours till 6 o'clock. Yeah, I've got 3 hours to practice my namaz. When am I going to get that chance again? I'm not going to get it at home. Now I pray my namaz. So the elders, they say the way to do it is, today I determine I'm going to pray 2 rakats, beginning to end. I'm not going to think of anyone or anything but Allah. In order to do that, the elders, they say, on day 1, you're going to pray the shortest surahs possible. So let's say a person decides to pray Tabbat Yada Qul Huwallah. I'll start Allahu Akbar. I haven't got my phone, I haven't got my friends, no one around me, no distractions. So I'm there. Now I'm praying Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen Ar-Rahman. I'm there. It's just me and Allah. It's like I'm seeing Allah, Allah seeing me. I'm in the zone. Yeah? But shaitan is not going to leave me alone. So what happens is, when I go into ruku, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana Rabbiyal Azim, Subhana. Then I see the carpet. I say, oh yeah, we got that carpet in our masjid as well. And within a split second, I've been teleported into my local masjid in London. Next thing I know, I'm sitting in the wuzu khana having a drink of water. Then I'm at Jamal in the corridor, and now I'm coming out of Masjid al-Quba, walking down. Then we go down to that Turkish place, having a doner kebab. And all the while, I'm still in my namaz, but my mind's gone. It's way. So now what do? Then I won't realize at first, I'm, building castles in the air. Yeah? I'll still carry on my namaz. I'll say, Sami Allahu liman hamidah, Allahu Akbar. Then I'll realize, when I go to sit, I'll realize, Allah Qasam. What? I'm gone. So what do? The elders, they say, bring your attention back and endeavor to finish that namaz with thoughts of Allah only. So now I complete the namaz. Tabbat yada qul huwallah, short one. Took me 2 minutes, 3 minutes. Have I, asked myself, have I succeeded in my endeavor? No, I haven't. So what do? Go again. Allahu Akbar. Now, shaitan is going to be at me. So now, when I go into ruku, I'm going to be really careful. Forget the carpet, yeah? Subhanallah. Sami Allahu alayhi wa nabida. I'm still there. Allahu Akbar. Going to Siddha. Subhanallah. As I'm saying Subhanallah, I take a whiff. I just breathe in, and somebody's put some attar on the carpet. Yeah? I take a whiff of that thing, and it transports me back to my childhood. Allah, my nonna used to wear this attar. Allah used to hold my hand, he used to take me to the shower, he used to buy me a Toblerone, good times, happy times, and all that. I've been transported 200 miles to London and 20 years back. Yeah? When I then realized, bring my concentration back, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? Have I succeeded? No, I haven't. Third time your concentration will stay till the second rakat. But you still won't succeed. Fourth time, fifth time. Eventually, when shaitan realizes, Allah, this guy, he's a serious tablighi. He's not one of those, yeah, inshallah. Where's my phone? Yeah? When he realizes, shaitan says, forget this guy. There's plenty of brothers upstairs that I can go and work on. He's got his phone with him. I'll go. So now what happens is after 7 attempts, I've succeeded. Alhamdulillah. First time ever in my life. So what do I do now? Take my phone out? No. Now is the time to make dua. Because that dua is definitely accepted. So now I make dua. So now next day, is it chilling for the rest of my chilla? So no, next day, you set a higher target. I'm going to pray 2 rakats, a bit longer. So this time you go for something like Idha ja'a tabbat yada. Bit longer. Make it longer. If a person perseveres, by the end of his 40 days, he will be able to recite something like Surah Yasin in his namaz, nice long namaz, and he won't think of anyone or anything but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That is a chilla well spent. And this is what people used to do and still do. But unfortunately in the past, it used to be the majority. Now because shaitan is very clever, he's put a cinema, a jukebox, a disco, and the whole world into our hands. Here, take that with you in Jamaat, gift from me. Back in the days when we used to go, the Masi next door used to bring, tu chilla ma jalla, I laddu le ja, main banaya. Yeah? Somebody used to make you some biscuits, I le ja. Nowadays, shaitan brings you a gift, that phone le ja. Meaning you ain't going anywhere. You can travel to the end of the world, but you'll still be in my hand. So Allah Ta'ala grant me and all of us the tawfiq to understand how shaitan plays with us. And inshallah after Asr Salat, there will be a talk. So brothers are requested inshallah to sit and to get others to say and make intentions at the end inshallah. Jazakumullah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi.